Deep in the darkest chapter of human history, where the Third Reich roared promises of world conquest with false vows, there were men who wielded the sword of this monster. The officers of the Wehrmacht, the Nazi army, were not just soldiers, but architects of lightning victories and crushing defeats. With innovative strategies, rumbling tanks, and iron wills, they shook Europe to its core. But behind these war legends lie tales of ambition, betrayal, and downfall. This documentary is a 2-hour journey into the shadows of steel, 10 key Wehrmacht officers who shaped World War II. From the Desert Fox to the Eastern Front strategists, each embodies German genius amid the storm of history. No judgments, just the harsh truth, how their triumphs changed the world, and their failures dragged the empire to dust and blood. Prepare for a narrative that captures the pulse of war. Imagine a youth from the Swabian hills of Germany, who with bare fists brought empires to their knees. Erwin Rommel, born November 15, 1891, in Heidenheim, was the third child of a middle-class family. His father, a field artillery officer, taught him discipline and duty. From his youth, Rommel loved adventure mechanics, mountaineering, and finally the army. In 1910, he joined as a cadet in the Württemberg Army and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1912. World War I was his brutal classroom. In France, with a small squad, he surprised a French outpost and earned the Iron Cross Second Class. Transferred to the Royal Württemberg Mountain Battalion, he endured 2 grueling weeks of fighting in the Kosna Hill battle in Romania. But Italy was where his genius shone, in the Battle of Caporetto. October 1917, with 150 men, he captured 81 guns and 9,000 Italian prisoners, including 150 officers. His infiltration tactics, rapid advances, and flanking were dubbed Blitzkrieg, without tanks, at Longarone, with a smaller force. He tricked a 10,000-man Italian division into surrender. For this bravery, he received the Pour le Mérite, the highest German award, and promotion to captain in 1918. His experiences inspired the best-selling book Infantry Attacks in 1937, which even captivated Hitler. In the interwar years, Rommel suppressed communist uprisings through negotiation rather than violence and taught at military academies. In 1938, as a colonel, he clashed with Baldur von Schirach over Hitler youth training and was dismissed. But his fame drew Hitler. In 1938, he became the Führer's bodyguard and traveled with him. Rommel, previously non-Nazi, grew close to the regime, calling the Wehrmacht the sword of Germany's new worldview. His views on Jews were ambiguous. He ignored street violence, but clashed with SA thugs and protected some Jews in his district. World War II turned Rommel into a legend. As a major general in 1939, he guarded Hitler during the Polish invasion and drew inspiration from motorized units. In February 1940, he took command of the 7th Panzer Division without armor experience, and it became the Ghost Division. On May 10th, he led the assault into France, crossed the Meuse under fire, fought French tanks with machine guns, and advanced 240 kilometers in 24 hours to the Channel. At Arras, he captured 10,000 prisoners and seized Rouen, though its historic quarter burned. His bold maneuvers shattered French lines and aided France's fall, though the halt order near Dunkirk saved 338,000 Allied troops. He received the Knight's Cross, but criticized the halt. But Africa birthed the Desert Fox. In February 1941, Hitler sent him to Tripoli to bolster the Italians. With the Afrika Korps 5th Light Division and 15th Panzer in March, he attacked, capturing Benghazi and Cyrenaica, except besieged Tobruk. His tactics: swift flanking, and terrain exploitation routed the British Western Desert Force at Tobruk. 36,000 Australian defenders under Leslie Morshead repelled two attacks in April and May, but Rommel innovatively used 88mm flak guns as anti-tank weapons. The British Operation Battleaxe in June halted the Axis advance. Promoted to command the Panzer Army Africa in August 1941, Rommel faced Operation Crusader in November. The dash to the wire counteroffensive toward Egypt stalled due to fuel and water shortages, retreating to El Agheila. But in January 1942, he retook Benghazi and reached Gazala. With Luftwaffe superiority over Malta in April, Operation Venezia in May, southern flanking of the British 8th Army shattered the Cauldron and Burhakheim. Tobruk fell on June 21, capturing 30,000 prisoners, and vast supply dumps, the largest British surrender since Singapore. At 50, Hitler made him a field marshal, the youngest in German history. Rommel pushed toward Egypt, taking Mersa Matruh and threatening the Suez Canal for cutting Allied lifelines and Caucasian oil. But El Alamein in July 1942 was the turning point. The First Army, with weak forces, sandstorms, and Desert Air Force bombings, got trapped in the Katara Depression bottleneck. Exhausted and ill, Rommel wrote in his diary, "My strength is gone." The second battle in October, under New Montgomery, was disastrous. Rommel returned from medical leave, but with 150 tanks against 800 Allied, deep minefields, and infantry that held briefly, it collapsed under Operation Supercharge. Hitler's stand or die order delayed retreat, destroying equipment. Rommel withdrew from Libya amid rains that grounded Allied planes but stranded Italian trucks. In Tunisia, February 1943, at Kasserine Pass, he defeated the U.S. The Second Corps, his last victory, but the Mareth attack failed. The final assault at Medellin in March lost 50 tanks to Montgomery's anti-tank guns. Exhausted, he left Africa on March 9. Axis forces surrendered in May. The North African campaign showcased Rommel's genius. His chivalry toward enemies earned British respect, calling the theater a war without Haiti, but defeats stemmed from shortages, Allied air superiority, and Mussolini's meddling. He seized vast territories and prisoners, but El Alamein lost what Tobruk gained. His relationship with Hitler was complex. Initially admiring the Führer's charisma, he grew bitter, suggesting political solutions and warning of collapse. Hitler liked him, promoted him, and ignored OKW doubts, but clashed over strategy. Rommel's aggressive advances versus Hitler's hold the ground insistence. In July 1943, transferred to Italy as head of Army Group B, he disarmed Italian forces, but clashed with Albert Kesselring over defensive lines and was sidelined in October. To Normandy in November 1943, as inspector of Western defenses, he fortified the Atlantic Wall. He quarreled with Rundstedt's inland reserve strategy, insisting on immediate coastal counterattacks. He knew Allied naval guns and air superiority would crush delayed responses. He oversaw millions of mines, tank traps, and Rommel's asparagus-y wooden poles for gliders, but preparations lagged, insufficient troops. Hitler held panzer reserves. He believed Pas-de-Calais was the landing site, but on D-Day, June 6, 1944, he was absent celebrating his wife's birthday. Storms dulled vigilance. Returning, he agreed with Rundstedt on counterattack, but Allied deceptions and bombings foiled it. By mid-July, with beachheads expanding, at Margeville he warned Hitler defeat was inevitable, calling for peace talks naive, but signaling growing bitterness. Rommel's legacy intertwines with tragedy. In the July 20, 1944, plot to assassinate Hitler through ties to conspirators like Hans Speidel and Karl Heinrich von Stolpnagel. He was implicated. He apparently favored arresting Hitler over killing to avoid civil war, though evidence is murky. On July 17th, strafed by Allied fighters, he suffered severe head wounds and was sidelined. Gestapo surveillance after arresting plotters named him. On October 14th, Generals Wilhelm Burgdorf and Ernst Meisel offered cyanide suicide to spare his family persecution and preserve his heroic reputation. Rommel took the pill in their car near Herrlingen and died at 52. Officially, fighter attack wounds, a lavish state funeral in Ulm, with Rundstedt representing Hitler. Rommel's legacy is the Rommel myth. Brilliant commander, apolitical, knight in the clean desert war, victim of Nazis. Allied and Nazi propaganda amplified his fame, aiding West German reconstruction and NATO through subordinates like Speidel. But historians debunk myths. He exploited North African Jews, though not directly involved, and successes often against disorganized foes. Streets, barracks like Field Marshal Rommel Barracks, and a destroyer bear his name. His son Manfred became Stuttgart mayor. Rommel remains the Desert Fox tactical innovator whose daring won battles, but failures and fatal entanglement with Hitler scripted a dramatic end, a reminder of war's merciless ends. Imagine a boy in the shadow of Prussian barracks, dreaming of thundering hooves and clashing steel. Heinz Wilhelm Guderian, born June 17, 1888, in Kulm, West Prussian Auchalno, Poland, in a military family. His father, Friedrich, and both grandfathers were Prussian officers, and Heinz grew up in garrison towns. At 15, he entered cadet school and, despite slipping in final exams, joined as an officer cadet in the Hanover 10th Jiger Battalion in February 1907 under his father's command. Promoted to second lieutenant in 1908, he married Marguerite Gorn on October 1, 1913, and had two sons, Heinz Gunther in 1914 and Kurt in 1918. This ordinary officer's life was the forge that melted a revolutionary mind. Artillery in World War I thrust Guderian into the fire. As a signals officer and radio station commander, he rose to first lieutenant in November 1914 and led Army 4th Signals Intelligence from May 1915 to January 1916, enduring Verdun's Hell. On November 15, 1915, he became captain, later commanding the 2nd Battalion of the 14th Infantry Regiment and serving with the 4th Infantry Division. In February 1918, he joined the elite general staff and ended the war as operations officer in occupied Italy. Bitter, he opposed Germany's armistice, believing the empire could fight on. This unyielding spirit defined him, a man who saw defeat not as fate, but as a spur for innovation. The interwar years were Guderian's idea forge. In 1919, one of 4,000 Reichswehr officers, he served in the Eastern Border Guard staff and coordinated Freikorps units against Polish and Soviet threats in the Russian Civil War and Estonian War of Independence. In June 1919, he became General Staff Officer in the Iron Division, later the 2nd Cavalry Division. In the 1920s, fate introduced him to armored warfare through Ernst Volkheim, a World War I tank commander. Guderian devoured European literature, writing 5 articles for a military weekly between 1922 and 1928, linking armored tactics to Great War failures, bold, provocative strokes that raised his profile. He evaluated experimental maneuvers in the Soviet Union and studied British trials under General Percy Hobart. In 1924, instructor and military historian at Stettin, he was a polarizing lecturer, brilliant to some, sarcastic to others. Promoted to major in 1927, he joined Truppenham, the secret general staff evading Versailles, and became the tank vanguard, though he didn't drive a tank until 1929, piloting a Swedish Stridsvagn M, a 21-29. In October 1928, he taught at the Motor Transport Training Staff. In 1931, as lieutenant colonel, he headed the Motorized Troops Inspectorate under Oswald Lutz, thrusting him into Germany's motorized warfare revolution. Here, Guderian helped create panzer divisions, an aggressive mechanized doctrine later called Blitzkrieg. His 3rd Motor Transport Brigade became the armored force model, though his memoirs exaggerated his role. In symbiotic partnership with Lutz' public advocate and behind-the-scenes architect, he lobbied the Nazi regime, demonstrating concepts to Hitler for resources. He pioneered communications for panzer units, while Lutz formalized blitzkrieg principles, independence, mass, and surprise, but officers like Walter Nering and Hermann Bau contributed, and Guderian's sole invention claim was post-war gloss. In fall 1936, Lutz tasked Guderian with writing Acting Panzer, a controversial manifesto blending lectures, history, and theory inspired by Ludwig von Emmensberger's 1934 work. Published in 1937, it warned of Russia's armored resurgence and urged Germany to prepare for Eastern settlement. In 1938, after Hitler's purge of anti-Nazi officers, Lutz was dismissed, and Guderian took his place. Commanding 1st Panzer Corps in the chaotic Anschluss of Austria, spring 1938, tanks broke down, fuel ran out, combat readiness illusory. Standing beside Hitler in Linz, he promised fixes. He grew closer to Hitler, attending operas and dinners. And the 16th Motorized Corps occupied the Sudetenland after Chamberlain's 1938 surrender. World War II brought Guderian's masterpiece, the Polish invasion. In August 1939, commanding the 19th Corps of Army 3, he controlled 14.5% of Germany's armored vehicles, including one of 6 panzer divisions. From September 1st, advancing from West Prussia toward Warsaw, linking with Eastern forces by September 5th, touring the war zone with Hitler and Himmler, reinforced, pushing to Brest-Litovsk, 330 kilometers in 10 days against fierce resistance, losing only 8 of 350 tanks. On September 16th, assaulting the fortress. Next day, Soviets invaded, breaking Polish morale. Guderian issued an ultimatum: surrender to Germans, or Soviets, and the garrison yielded. Knight's Cross awarded, proving tank power. But humiliated by Catholic Slav Poles occupying his birthplace, he ordered a night raid on family estates in Gross-Kolonia. Later admitting serious losses, his corps mistreated Poles, ignoring Geneva. And though withdrawing before SS ethnic cleansing, he heard of Jewish ghettos and murders from son Heinz Guderian protested not. Fall 1940, Guderian's triumph, assault on France and Low Countries. In debates, he backed Erich von Manstein's bold plan through the Ardennes forest, dismissing critics and assembling 7 mechanized corps, 1,112 tanks, Germany's largest armored concentration. As spearhead, piercing the forest and shattering French lines at Sedan, crossing the Meuse in shock speed to the sea, trapping British Expeditionary Force and French in Dunkirk. British counter at Arras on May 21st slowed him, prompting Hitler's May 24th halt order: fear of urban traps for armor without infantry support. Resumed May 26th, suggesting artillery infantry tactics until May 28th. Ordered to Swiss border. Breached Maginot Line extension at June 9th, encircling Maginot at June 17th. France's fall wasn't inevitable. Allies had superior equipment but from morale collapse, flawed strategy, poor coordination. Arrogant, Hitler and generals eyed Soviet Union, a hubristic doom Guderian shared. Operation Barbarossa, 1941 Soviet invasion, tested Guderian, in Act and Panzer. He'd foreseen Russia's rise, but in May 1941, accepted Hitler's preemptive narrative, embracing Lebensraum and Jewish Bolshevik threat. Commanding 2nd Panzer Group, crossing Bug River June 22nd, racing to Dnieper. With 3rd Panzer Group, closing Minsk pocket, 300,000 prisoners, then Smolensk Knights cross with Oak, leaves July 17th. Smolensk battle destroyed Soviet 16th, 19th, 20th armies. Astonishing, aligning with Hitler against Franz Halder and Fedor von Bock for Moscow push, alienating peers. By mid-September, his southern swing completed Kiev encirclement, annihilating Southwest Front, 600,000 Soviet losses by September 26th. But costs mounted, group at 21% operational tanks. Ordered to Moscow mid-September, Moscow battle began September 30th, October 4th, 4th Panzer Division mauled at Mtsensk. Guderian demanded inquiry, even suggesting T-34 copies. In November, thrusts to Tula and Kashira yielded limited gains amid his oscillating despair. Pressed, Gunther von Kluge committed 4th Army's weak southern flank December 1st, but defeat loomed. Guderian blamed Kluge for delays, ignoring Moscow's impregnability and troop exhaustion. Defied Hitler's stand-fast order, clashed with Kluge, dismissed December 25th. Barbarossa horrors stained his command. Units executed Commissar order. Shooting political officers. Guderian reported 170 as deviation in August, per subordinate Joachim Lemelson. Civilian reprisals rife, with preserved records, though Guderian later denied issuing. Reinstated March 1, 1943, after Stalingrad disaster, Inspector General of Armored Troops, tasked rebuilding panzers in collapsing economy. Cooperated with Albert Speer, improving tank destroyers, fixing Panther and Tiger flaws, even aiding Romanian Marshal destroyer. Limited success, 1943 defeats disrupted. Fiercely opposed Operation Citadel at Kursk, warning Hitler of victory costs. The question of whether we hold Kursk is one of profound indifference at joking. It turned his stomach. Hitler agreed but proceeded. Last major German offensive crushed. In July 1944, after July 20th plot against Hitler, Guderian became chief of the Army General Staff, replacing Kurt Zeitzler. Advised Eastern Front, but couldn't sway Hitler's doomed strategies. Appointed to Court of Honor, expelling plotters for People's Court trials. Torture, slow strangling with piano wire. Post-war, called revolting, but records showed Nazi vigor, perhaps self-protection. Retired plot day, saving Hans Speidel from involvement. Purge paralyzed operations. Guderian filled gaps, but distrusted staff, blaming past armored resistance. Clashed with OKW over Ardennes resources, later blaming Hitler for wasting reserves, though more divisions wouldn't save Germany. Guderian Nazified the staff, mandating party membership. July 29, 1944. Nazi salute army-wide. Supported politicization, attended Volkssturm rallies proclaiming 95 million National Socialists behind Hitler, dined with Himmler. Christmas 1944. Unopposed Warsaw uprising suppression, his forces ravaged civilians. pushed fortress cities in East Feudal against Red Army mobility, understrength garrisons. Relieved March 28, 1945, after failed Kustrin retake. Hans Krebs replaced, that day, distributed awards, ever loyal. In March 6 broadcast, denied Holocaust as Red Army liberated camps. Bribed with 2,000 Reichsmarks monthly, and 1,000-hectare Polish estates in Dipnihov, evicting residents, furnished with looted Jewish goods, aligned with Nazi values. Hitler reinstated for loyalty. Surrendered to U.S. forces May 10, 1945. POW until 1948. Escaped Nuremberg charges due to scant evidence then. Cooperated with Allies, reporting on peers like Erich von Manstein, 18 years prison, and Albert Kesselring life. Recorded talks showed enduring Nazi affinity. The fundamental principles were good. Retired to Schwango, wrote Panzer Leader, 1952. Rewrite of 1950 Soldier, bestseller mythologizing him as Blitzkrieg father, omitting failures, Nazi ties. War crimes like Commissar executions and Warsaw reprisals. With B.H. Little Hart preface, perpetuated clean Wehrmacht myth, claiming sole innovation and denying atrocities, blaming Hitler and Russian winter. Historians later debunked. Guderian one innovator. Successes from advantages, not faux weakness. Covered bribes, seizures, ideological alignment. Guderian died May 14, 1954, of heart disease at 65, buried in Goslar. Legacy endures as tactical genius. Swift Poland fall, Ardennes breakthrough. Early Barbarossa wins, but shadowed by failures like Moscow halt, ignored Kursk opposition, complicity in Nazi crimes. Best-selling author who shaped history with myths, Schneller Heinz or Hammering Heinz remains dramatic figure, pioneer of speed, blitz architect. Entangled in Reich's darkest deeds. Imagine a man from Prussian nobility, raised amid clashing sabers and artillery thunder. Fritz Erich Georg Edward von Lewinsky, known as Erich von Manstein, born November 24, 1887, in Berlin, 10th son of a Polish-descended Prussian artillery general. Adopted by aunt and uncle, both generals, his biological and stepfathers, uncles, grandfathers, and 16 relatives who reached general rank, forged him in duty and orders fire. Paul von Hindenburg, future field marshal and president, was his uncle, a tie echoing in power corridors. From 1894 to 1899, at Imperial Lyceum Strasbourg, a Catholic high school, he honed his keen intellect. Then joined Cadet Corps, commissioned 3rd Lieutenant in Guard Grenadier Regiment March 1906. Intelligent and capable, Lieutenant January 1907, began War Academy officer training October 1913, but Great War Cut studies August 1914, hurling him to Western and Eastern fronts. World War I was Manstein's savage apprenticeship. As lieutenant with Guard Reserve 2nd Battalion, stormed Namur Fortress, Belgium August 1914, transferred to East Prussia under Hindenburg's 8th Army, fought First Battle of the Masurian Lakes. To advancing 9th Army toward Warsaw, wounded November 16, 1914, in bold assault on Russian trenches, bullet to shoulder and knee, severing sciatic nerve, numbing leg for months. Recovered in Bethune and Wiesbaden hospitals, June 1915, captain and general staff assistant with 10th Army under Max von Gallwitz. Learned offensive planning in Poland, Lithuania, Montenegro, Albania. Successes. Near front Verdun early 1916, then signals officer under Fritz von Below in some battles, saw Hindenburg line retreat. October 1917, Chief of Staff 4th Cavalry Division in occupied Riga. After Brest-Litovsk, to 213th Infantry Division near Reims, endured final pressures and futile offensives to November 11, 1918 armistice. Ended as captain, tasting victory and defeat, emerging with tactical mind for future. Interwar years tested Manstein's endurance. Until 1919 Volunteer Border Defense Force Breslau helped shrink Imperial Army to 100,000-man Reichswehr under Versailles. One of 4,000 selected officers, 1921 commanded company in 5th Prussian Regiment, taught military history and tactics, 1927 Major to Berlin General Staff. Traveled abroad studying foreign armies, wrote mobilization plans, 1930 to 1934 commanded Light Infantry Battalion. 1920 married Jutta Sibyl von Loschafter, 3-day courtship, 3 children, Gisela 1921, Gero 1922, Rudiger 1929. Tragedy struck when Gero fell in Eastern Front October 1942. Nazi rise 1933 propelled Manstein's ascent in secret rearmament, violating Versailles. Colonel 1934, Chief of Staff 3rd Division under Erwin von Witzleben. July 1935, Operations Branch Head Army General Staff, developed Fall-Rot defensive plan against France. Influenced by Guderian and Lutz for Panzer support, proposed Sturmgeschütz assault guns as infantry substitutes, innovation devastating in World War II. Major General 1936 Deputy Chief of Staff under Ludwig Beck, 1938 Lieutenant General commanding 18th Infantry Division. Though urged Beck not to resign over Hitler's premature Czechoslovakia plans, Franz Halder took Chief of Staff post, igniting lifelong feud. At Hitler's 50th birthday 1939, delivered fiery speech hailing Führer as divine savior of Germany, warning hostile world of war if blocking Germany's path, rhetoric aligning him with Nazi fervor, though historians note his technocratic rise among ardent Nazi officers. Blitzkrieg architect, Poland and Sickle Cut, World War II erupted with Manstein as Chief of Staff Army Group South for Polish invasion, Fall Vice September 1, 1939. His plan concentrated panzers in Reichenau's 10th Army for breakthrough to encircle Vistula West Poles, supported by Blaskowitz's 8th and 14th Armies. Privately skeptical, saw Poland as Soviet buffer, feared two-front war. At August 22 conference, Hitler demanded physical destruction policy. Manstein later claimed not understanding as genocide. The Einsatzgruppen horrors soon reached him. Assault unfolded with ruthless efficiency. Army Group South pursued retreating Poles, encircled Rodom forces September 8 to 14th, crushed 9 divisions in Bzura River battle September 8 to 19th. Warsaw fell. Last Polish units surrendered October 6. Manstein's flexible tactics shown, but campaign shadowed. SSVT and Army units, machine guns surrendered Poles and civilians, especially Jews. Manstein and Blaskowitz complained to Halder, denying authorization. Legally responsible, these acts fueled later war crimes charges. Einsatzgruppen under Theodor Eich executed intellectuals and Jews. Gruppe Otto von Wuchter burned Dino Synagogue, killing over 500 by September 20th. Manstein forbade, but resigned October 20th, transferred west. For Western Offensive Fall Gel, Manstein revolutionized strategy. Initial OKH plan repeated Schlieffen through Netherlands and Belgium, but dissatisfied, fearing no surprise and trench war. Late October 1939 proposed Sickelschnitt, or Sickle Cut, panzer divisions through impassable Ardennes hills to Meuse bridges, lightning dash to English Channel, encircling Allied armies in Belgium and Flanders. Secondary thrust bypasses Maginot Line. Rejected by Halder and Walter von Brauchitsch, who resented his persistence, Manstein transferred February 2, 1940, to command 38 Corps Stettin. But Hitler, invasion hungry, met him February 17, adopting modified Manstein plan in May 1940 assault. His corps scored first breakthrough East Amiens in Fall Rot, first Seine crossing 1940, Franzfeld in Blitzkrieg. Promoted General, Iron Knight's Cross, supported Operation Sea Lion, Britain invasion, deeming risky but necessary. His corps planned for first wave Boulogne to Bexhill, but Luftwaffe failure in Battle of Britain September 12 indefinitely postponed. Idled in Paris, pondered next storm. March 1941, LVI Panzer Corps in Army Group North for Barbarossa. Tasked seizing Vienna bridges near Daugavpils with ex-Ally Panzer Corps Georg Hans Reinhardt. Forces advanced 315 kilometers in 100 hours, repelled counterattacks. Encircled Soviets at Luga, but July 15 Solzhenitsyn attack mauled 8th Panzer Division, halting advance. Reformed with 4th SS Police Division, delays from weather and terrain mounted. August, the 10th Corps relieved encircled Staraya Russa. Counteroffensive destroying 5 Soviet divisions, 120,000 prisoners, and 141 tanks. Opposing General Kuzma A. Podless, executed, pushed to Demyansk. But September shifted to command 11th Army Ukraine after Eugen Ritter von Schaubert's death. Crimea campaign became his daring masterpiece. Tasked seizing peninsula to deny Soviet air bases and oil routes. Infantry breached Perekop Isthmus despite reduction to 6 German divisions and Romanian support. Captured Simferopol November 1, 1941. Invested Sevastopol city fortress. Initial assaults November and December failed, amid 300,000 Soviet seaborne evacuation. Soviet landings Kirk and Feodosia December threatened collapse. Hasty Romanian retreat saved, but Manstein wheeled east, halting Soviet advance. With Wolfram von Richthofen's Luftflotte support, Kirk Peninsula battle May 8, 1942, route, feinted north, struck south. 170,000 prisoners, 1,133 guns, 258 tanks, for 8,000 German losses. Kirk fell May 16th. Wheeled to Sevastopol, unleashed Inferno, Karlgert mortar, 800 mm Dora rail monster, Luftflotte for bombing from June 2nd. Mid-June ground assaults gained ground, but losses soared. June 29th. Surprise amphibious crossing Severnaya Bay shattered defenses. Soviets chaotic evacuated. City fell July 4th. Promoted Field Marshal July 1, 1942. Conquering impregnable fortress. Close to Romanian leader Ion Antonescu. Vacationed with him July-August, but darkness shadowed glory. In Crimea, 11th Army aided Einsatzgruppen Jewish and civilian massacres, providing vehicles, fuel, cordons. When Captain Ulrich Gunzert witnessed massacre and protested, Manstein dismissed, urging focus on Red Army. 11th faced later trial charges from these horrors, including November 20, 1941, order echoing Walter von Reichenau's severity. Eliminate Jewish Bolshevik system, as survival dictate, anti-Semitic rhetoric tying Jews to global conspiracy, and Bolshevism. Hitler summoned to Leningrad August, 1942. Elements of 11th Army bolstered siege. Lacking storm troops, planned Operation Northern Light to cut Ladoga Lake supply. But Soviet Sinyavino attack threatened breakthrough. September 21 counter Manstein isolated two armies, though attrition doomed Northern Light. Siege held until Soviet relief January 1944. Stalingrad disaster loomed. In Fall Blau Case Blue. 6th Army Friedrich Paulus seized Volga City, September 1942, amid savage street fighting. Operation Uranus November 19th encircled. Appointed Army Group Dawn Commander November 24th, launched Winter Storm December 12th with WWII Panzer Corps 23rd, 6th, 17th Panzer Divisions. Reached 48 kilometers by December 20th amid blizzards, but Soviet attacks at Mishkova River halted. Manstein urged breakout December 18th. Hitler refused, Paulus too. Grain's air supply promises failed with weather and losses. January 24, 1943. Manstein begged surrender. Hitler refused. Paulus surrendered January 31st, dooming to 100,000 Germans, only 6,000 post-war survivors. Soviet Operation Little Saturn threatened 8th Italian Army. Manstein diverted 48 Panzer Corps to Tur River, held against attacks but sacrificed Italians. With Soviet Star and Gallop operations, January-February 1943. Retook Kharkov and Kursk. Manstein unified Southern Army groups into Army Group South. Despite Hitler's hold at all costs, Paul Hauser evacuated Kharkov February 15th. Manstein's genius blazed in Third Battle of Kharkov February-March 1943. His backhand blow convinced weary Hitler for offensive in tedious sessions, struck Nikolai Vatutin's surprise February 20th. By March 2nd, captured 615 tanks, killed 23,000 Soviets. Retook Kharkov March 14th, after savage fighting. Belgorod March 18th, annihilating 3 Soviet armies, forcing 3 retreats, 46,000 dead, 14,000 prisoners, 600 tanks, 1,200 guns lost. Oak leaves tonight's cross. Stabilized front in spring thaw. Eyeing Kursk salient. Imagine a man from unyielding Prussian aristocratic traditions, stepping into the deadliest storm of the 20th century. Karl Rudolf Gerd von Rundstedt, born December 12, 1875, in Aschersleben, North Halle, in Prussian Saxony, entered a world where military service was not just a job, but sacred family legacy. The Rundstedts, ancient Junker family from the 12th century, had sent every able man to the Prussian army since Frederick the Great. His father, Gerd Arnold Conrad von Rundstedt, cavalry officer who fought Franco-Prussian War, embodied this unyielding duty. Mother, Adelheid Fischer, brought Huguenot endurance to the lineage. As eldest of 4 brothers, all army-bound young Gerd trod Prussian military education's harsh path, junior cadet college at Diez near Koblenz, then elite Berlin War Academy at Lichterfeld. Unable to afford cavalry's high costs, joined as cadet in 83rd Infantry Regiment Kassel March 1892 city, he later called hometown. After 1893 training at Hanover Kriegsschule, commissioned lieutenant 1893. By 1896, regimental adjutant, 1903 entered Berlin War Academy, emerging highly capable officer. Fully suited for general staff. Married Lucy Bela von Gitz January 1902. Son Hans Gerd born 1903. By April 1907, joined general staff, serving until July 1914, when Chief of Operations 22nd Reserve Division under 1st Army Alexander von Kluck, ready for Schlieffen-Plan assault on Belgium and France. World War I hurled Rundstedt into Staff Forge, where tactical acumen blazed amid chaos. As 22nd Division Chief of Staff in 1914 Belgium advance, saw no direct action, while unit held reserve. Lung illness December 1914 sidelined, promoted major, appointed Antwerp military governor. Recovered by April 1915, took command 86th Infantry Division Staff Eastern Front under Max von Gallwitz. By September, transferred Warsaw administration occupied Poland, stayed until November 1916, when led 25 reserve corps in Carpathians against fierce Russian resistance. October 1917, commanded the 53rd Corps Northern Poland, but October Revolution collapsed Russian lines. To West August 1918, the 15th Corps Alsace under General Felix Graf von Bothmer ended war as major. Iron Cross First Class awarded, recommended for poor le merit, but denied. Bothmer praised completely excellent staff officer and congenial comrade. With German Revolution shattering his corps, Rundstedt stayed in army at General Wilhelm Groner's request, joining General Staff until Versailles Treaty dissolved it 1919. Weimar Republic tested Rundstedt's monarchist spirit in fragile democracy. He despised with contempt, but steadily rose in 100,000-man Reichswehr. October 1919 posted Military District 5 Stuttgart under General Walter von Bergmann. 1920 rejected Kapputsch as failure, and Tassili, promoted Lieutenant Colonel 1920, Chief of Staff 3rd Cavalry Division Weimar, fulfilling early cavalry dream. 1923 Colonel, Wehrkreis to Stettin. 1926 Major General, Gruppenkommando to Kassel. 1928 commanded 2nd Cavalry Division Breslau, tense border post amid larger Polish army. Lieutenant General January 1932, Wehrkreis 3 Berlin, and 3rd Infantry Division. Great Depression and Nazi rise dragged him into policies he loathed. July 1932, as martial law plenipotentiary in Chancellor Franz von Pappen's ousting Prussian government, protested and quickly resigned. By October, full general, Gruppenkommando 1 East Germany. At 1946 Nuremberg trials testified, "We generals were not involved in politics. We took no part in any political discussions." Hitler's 1933 rise forced Rundstedt into an uneasy Nazi regime alliance. Defense Minister Werner von Blomberg assured army loyalty. February 1933 Hitler met senior generals, including Rundstedt, promising strong army without interference. Privately scorned Nazis, pledged non-opposition. 1934 opposed Walter von Reichenau's chief of staff appointment for overt Nazism, backed Werner Freiherr von Fritsch. Repeated 1938, preferring Brauchitsch. Relieved by S.A. Long Knives Purge 1934, but outraged by murders of Generals Kurt von Schleicher and Ferdinand and von Bretto, aided their secret rebuilding. Took personal oath to Hitler, supported rearmament, condemned Versailles 1935, restored conscription 1936. At 60 in 1935, second rank after Blomberg, Hitler cultivated him, sending to George V funeral 1936. Blomberg-Fritsch affair 1938. Rundstedt and Ludwig Beck confronted Hitler, demanding Fritsch court-martial and defense. Rejected Chief of Staff post, warned against Reichenau. In 1938-1939 plots against war over Czechoslovakia and Poland, Beck recruited him, but Rundstedt rejected political involvement, though didn't report. Feared incomplete rearmament before war, opposed Czechoslovakia invasion, but advised Hitler not to balk. November 1938 retired Colonel General after Sudetenland occupation, perhaps at own request for health and family. Honorary head old regiment, promised wartime service. World War II thundered Rundstedt from retirement. May 1939. Hitler appointed him Army Group South Commander for Polish invasion from Silesia and Slovakia, with Erich von Manstein Chief of Staff and Gunther Blumentritt Operations Chief. Field Commanders: Johannes Blaskowitz 8th Army, Walter von Reichenau 10th Army, Wilhelm List 14th Army. September 1, 1939. Forces stormed southern Poland, took Krakow September 6. Reichenau's bold Warsaw thrust September 9 failed, but Blaskowitz contained Poznań Polish Army in Bzura River battle. By September 18, Poznań destroyed. Reichenau took Lublin September 11, List linked with Soviets at Elway per Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Warsaw fell September 28, ended southern fighting October 6, but shadows loomed. SSVT and army units, machine guns surrendered. Poles and civilians, especially Jews. Rundstedt and Blaskowitz complained to Franz Halder, denying authorization. Legally responsible. Axe-fueled later war crimes charges. Einsatzgruppen Untertheater I executed intellectuals and Jews. Otto von Wuchter's group burned Dino Synagogue, killing over 500 by September 20. Rundstedt forbade, but transferred west October 20. October 25, 1939, commanded Army Group Ardennes Koblenz, facing France, with Manstein, soon Georg von Sodenstern, and Blumentritt. North Feder von Bock Army Group B, South Wilhelm Ritter von Lepp Army Group C Maginot Line. Commanders: Blaskowitz 9th Army, List 12th Army, Ernst Busch 16th Army. November 1939. Hitler planned repeated Schlieffen through Belgium, but generals like Rundstedt, Manstein, Reichenau opposed winter timing and route, preferring Ardennes armored thrust. Security breaches and weather delayed to May 1940. Manstein plan, with Rundstedt's staunch support. Without his approval, we couldn't continue our efforts or became Blitzkrieg blueprint. Amid fresh anti-Hitler plots, Rundstedt rejected involvement. Heinrich Himmler's March 1940 Koblenz speech revealed Polish horrors, as ordered. May 10, 1940, assault erupted. By May 14, Hermann Hoth and Heinz Guderian armor-crossed Meuse trapped allies in Belgium. Hitler and Rundstedt halted advances for infantry support, but May 24 halt order pushed by Rundstedt and Ewald von Kleist, accepted by Hitler, froze armor at Abbeville, dooming Dunkirk. Luftwaffe failed to destroy trapped forces, allowing 338,000 Allied evacuations. Post-war, Rundstedt called it incredible mistake, blaming Hitler, though he initiated halt. Wheeled south, Bock's Army Group B targeted Paris, while Rundstedt now lists 12th. Maximilian von Weich's 2nd, Busch's 16th Army struck Soissons and Reims June 9. By June 12, Cross-Marne. Dijon fell June 16th, Lyon June 20th, France armistice June 22nd, July 1940. Hitler promoted Rundstedt to Field Marshal in lavish ceremony. Remained Saint-Germain-en-Laye, France. Planned Operation Sea Lion, but doubted chances, unsurprised by September cancellation after Battle of Britain. October. Hitler named him Oberbefehlshaber West Ob West, overseeing Western defenses.